Today we are celebrating Jalsa Yawm-e-Musleh Maud. So my first question, some of it has already been told by Jibreel. So those of you who are listening to Jibreel, answers are easy. When we say Musleh Maud, who do we mean by that? What is the real name of Musleh Maud? Musleh Maud से कौन मुराद होता है? You can raise your hand and answer if you know. तो Faiz? Hazrat Mirza Mahmud Ahmad. Hazrat Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad, Khalifatul Masih, second, Sani. Okay? So, when we say Musleh Maud, the person we mean is the second Khalifa. What is the meaning of the word Musleh Maud? Musleh Maud जो अरबी का लफ्ज है, उसका क्या मतलब है? इस मुस्लिह इस्लाह क्या जिसकी हुई हो, ठीक है, और मुस्लिह इस्लाह करने वाला का जिसकी हुई हो, करने वाला, हाँ जी, वो मेहदी है कि जिसकी हिदायत हुई हो, तो मुस्लिह माउद इस्लाह करने वाला, ठीक है. सो मुस्लिह माउद मीन्स अ प्रॉमिस्ड रिफॉर्मर. मुस्लिह मीन्स रिफॉर्मर, माउद मीन्स प्रॉमिस्ड. मुस्लिह माउद प्रॉमिस्ड. हाउ मेनी खलीफा वी हैव इन जमात? जमात अहमदिया इज द ओनली जमात व्हिच हैज खिलाफत. हाउ मेनी खलीफा वी हैव इन जमात? हमजा कितने खुलफा हैं? 5. So why we celebrate second Khalifa but not Khalifatul Masih Awwal? Why don't we have a Yawm Nuruddin, Yawm Nasir Ahmad, Tahir Ahmad? Why? What are we celebrating today? कि एक दूसरे खलीफा का हम दिन मना रहे हैं. यौम नूरुद्दीन तो नहीं मनाते, यौम नासिर अहमद तो नहीं मनाते. What is the reason we are celebrating one particular Khalifa? We are not celebrating just the Khalifa. We are not celebrating the person. We are not celebrating the birthday. Like it says on the banner here, is celebrating the fulfillment of a grand prophecy. We are celebrating a prophecy. So when was the prophecy revealed? जो prophecy थी, जो पेशगोई थी, वो किस तारीख को हज़रत मसीह मौद अलैहिस्सलाम ने उसका ऐलान फरमाया था? Already answered by Jibreel. 1886, the year, 96, correct. 1886, 20 February, very good, okay. So 20 February 1886, promised Messiah ﷺ received a prophecy. And he published that prophecy. And today we are celebrating the fulfillment of that prophecy. Anyone knows the name of the book that was compiled after the death of the promised Messiah, in which his revelations and his prophecies are mentioned? एक किताब जमात ने बाद में शाया की थी हुजूर की वफात के बाद, जिसमें हुजूर के इल्हामात और पेशगोइयां जो हैं वो दर्ज हैं. किसी को उसका नाम पता है? सदर साहब आंसर्ड ऑलरेडी. एनीवन एल्स? Jibreel?
If I got it correctly, it's subs-ijtihad.
Okay, I will. No, it's not. My question is different, but subs-ijtihad I will discuss later. Okay, so I'm saying there's one book that is compilation of all the revelations and all the prophecies that were received by the promised Messiah. It was not written by him. It was later compiled. हजूर ने नहीं लिखी थी, हजूर के बाद ही. सदर साहब ने जवाब दे चुके हैं वैसे. जी, सेतुल नदी नहीं. तज़किरा. That is the name of a book. Tazkira. It is not a book of the promised Messiah. It is a book later compiled in which all the prophecies and revelations are combined. So now, has anyone seen the book Tazkira? सदर साहब के अलावा रब्बी साहब ने तज़किरा देखी है? कहाँ पढ़ी हुई है? ये so the Arabic translation is right here. At-Tazkira. The Urdu will be here somewhere, maybe behind the banner. So Tazkira, it's this thick, meaning it has thousands of prophecies, thousands of revelation. Why we are celebrating this prophecy? तज़किरे में कितनी पेशगोइयां हैं? हम हर पेशगोई का दिन क्यों नहीं मनाते? रोज हजूर को एक पेशगोई होती थी, रोज पूरी होती थी. लेखराम मरा था, उसका दिन क्यों नहीं मनाते? डॉवी मरा था, उसका दिन क्यों नहीं मनाते? So the question is why we celebrate this particular prophecy and not the others. Lekhram died according to the prophecy. He had other children. The translation of the poem, which was recited by Etizaz, I will quickly translate. Hazur said, I have 5 children. All 5 of them have been born according to the prophecy of God. So why we celebrate this prophecy more than the other? The reason is because this prophecy, when Hazrat Muslih Mau'ud published this prophecy, people started making fun of him. They said, what kind of prophecy you are making? People have children all the time. मेरा भी बेटा है और भी लोगों के बेटे होते हैं. ये बच्चा होना ये कौन सी कोई पेशगोई आप कर रहे हैं? So what is so significant about having a son? So he said no. And one of his friends, at that time friend, later became opponent, Maulvi Muhammad Hussain Batalvi, he wrote a personal letter to the promised Messiah, and he said, please do not publish this, because if you publish this, it will make fun, it will make jest of Islam. And promised Messiah replied that no, I will publish this, and this is my main prophecy. So now I want to start from here with this background. But this prophecy was not actually a prophecy of the promised Messiah. Rather, it was a prophecy found in the Holy Scriptures before the coming of the promised Messiah. So, for example, before starting with the Holy Prophet ﷺ, let me start with Bible. That in Talmud, book of the Jewish book of Hadith or Tafsir, you can say, is a prophecy that it is also said, I'm reading from the Talmud by Joseph Barclay, it is said that he, the Messiah, shall die and his kingdom will descend to his son and grandson. यहूदियों में ये पेशगोई थी कि मसीह जब आएगा, वो फौत हो जाएगा, तो उसके बाद उसकी रूहानी सल्तनत उसके बेटे और पोते के पास जाएगी. अब ये पेशगोई पहले मसीह के बारे में तो पूरी नहीं हुई, तो इसका मतलब है ये जो मसीह की आमदसानी थी उनके बारे में पेशगोई थी कि when the second coming of happened, his kingdom, meaning his spiritual kingdom, will descend to his son and to his grandson. So that is what we saw, that his son, he became the Khalifa, he became the king of the spiritual kingdom. Then when we come to the Holy Prophet ﷺ, the ayah which was recited by Al-Hajjaj Mahmud, in that he recited the verses that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will be coming back to a people. وَآخَرِينَ مِنْهُمْ لَمَّا يَلْحَقُوا بِهِمْ. That Holy Prophet يَلْحَقُوا بِهِمْ. That Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he will return to another people. And when people, Sahaba, ask, who is that? Who will you come back into? Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam put his hand on the shoulder of Hazrat Salman Farsi radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and he said, لَوْ كَانَ الْإِيمَانُ مُؤَلِّقًا بِالثُّرَيَّا لَنَالَهُ رَجُلٌ وَفِي رِوَايَةٍ رَجَالٌ مِنْ هَؤُلَاءِ. That even if Iman gone to the heavens, there is no faith left in the world. There is no piety left in the world, no righteousness left in the world. People from Faris, people from Persia, in one narration it says one person, in another narration it says people. They will bring it back. So he has a Muslih Mau'ud, this prophecy of Muslih Maud is a continuation of that. But more directly, Hazrat Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about the coming of Hazrat Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, about the second coming of Nabiullah Isa. He said, يَتَزَوَّجُ وَيُولَدُ. When Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, he will marry and he will have children. Hazrat ने पेशगोई फरमाई थी कि जब हज़रत ईसा वापस आएंगे तो आपकी शादी होगी और आपकी औलाद होगी. Everyone gets married, everyone has children. What is so surprising about that? So this question was raised by the previous ulama also. Then why did Holy Prophet ﷺ specifically mention the marriage and the children of the Nabiullah Isa when he will come back? So Hazrat Mesiyas has explained this. قد أخبر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أن المسيح الموعود يتزوج ويولد له ففي هذا إشارة إلى أن الله يؤتيه ولدا صالحا يشابه أباه. That it is not just a general prophecy, it is a prophecy when promised Messiah will come back, he will have children, and the main prophecy is that the child will resemble the father. दिखाऊंगा क्या शेर पढ़ा था इतजाज ने कि दिखाऊंगा फिर उस माह से अंधेरा एक फेरा. What is जो शेर पढ़ा. In that couplet it is mentioned that the whole world, the time of the promised Messiah ﷺ, will come back, meaning the sun will result of the promised Messiah ﷺ. Then I'm trying to make it short, not to make it. Previous ulama, they had also prophesied when Nabiullah, the promised Messiah, and Imam, they have a special. So, for example, there's a famous died in Hazrat Mirza Wali Sahib, एक बुजुर्ग हैं, in which with Bilang, I have seen about the coming of Imam Mahdi, and in that he has mentioned various signs of him. शाह नियमतुल्लाह वली साहिब ने एक कसीदा लिखा, एक गजल लिखी, एक मसनवी लिखी, जिसमें मी बीनम करके, कसीदा ही कहना चाहिए, मी बीनम करके कि मुझे दिखाया गया है, मैं देखता हूं. यानी उनको कशफ में इमाम महदी की इलामात दिखाई गई. He has even mentioned the name of Imam Mahdi in that. Alif Ha Mim Dal Mi Binam. Alif Ha Mim Dal. His name will be Ahmadi Ghulam Ahmad. In that he has mentioned Dore U Chu Shavat Tamam Baqam Pisrash Yadgar Mi Binam. That I see that after his time is over, his blessed era of the promised Messiah is over. Pisrash Yadgar. After that, I see that his son will become his Yadgar. This is important. Why we celebrate this prophecy and not the others? One of the reasons is that this prophecy is not a general prophecy of the promised Messiah. This is a prophecy that have been coming from the old scriptures, from Talmud, from the prophecy of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and from the previous saints and previous scholars as well. So now, what was the prophecy and what was the background? So like Tahir Sahib mentioned, this prophecy was in 1886. So in 1886, promised Messiah Islam has not yet made the claim that he is Imam Mahdi. He is the promised Messiah. You have to remember that. That is the first thing. But he has already claimed that Allah has appointed him to guide people. He is the reformer. And he gave a challenge to the people that if you do not believe in Islam, if you do not think Islam is the true religion, there is no Ahmadiyyat right now. Ahmadiyyat started in 1889. Faiz ne kaha tha. So right now there is no Ahmadiyyat yet. So he's calling people towards Islam in general. So he said, if you have any doubt about the truthfulness of Islam, come to Qadian, live with me, and I will show you the signs of God. If you believe there is no God, come with me, I will show you sign of God. Christians, to Hindus, to Arya Samaj, to Brahmin people of India. So the Arya of Qadian, Arya are one of the sect of Hinduism. They said to promised Messiah Islam, you're asking people from outside to come live with you in Qadian. We are already living with you in Qadian. Show us a son. हजूर ने कहा था कि किसी ने इस्लाम की ताईद में 1886 का है तो अभी मसीह मौद और मेहदी मौद होने का दावा नहीं किया. अभी हजूर लोगों को इस्लाम की तरफ, सच्चे खुदा की तरफ जेनेरिकली बुला रहे हैं, एक अमूमी तौर पे बुला रहे हैं. तो हुजूर ने लोगों को कहा, उसमें देहरिये भी शामिल थे, ईसाई भी शामिल थे, कि अगर तुम खुदा को नहीं मानते, इस्लाम को झूठा समझते हो, हज़रत मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम को झूठा समझते हो, मेरे पास कादियान आके ठहरो, मैं तुम्हें खुदा ताला के होने का, हज़रत सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के सच्चे होने का और इस्लाम के सच्चे होने का निशान दिखाऊंगा. तो कादियान के लोगों ने कहा, बाहर वालों को क्या कहते हैं, हम तो यही रह रहे हैं. जो वहां के हिंदू थे, कि आर्य जो थे, कि हम तो यही रह रहे हैं, हमें निशान दिखा दे, हम तो आपकी पहले से यहाँ पे, तो निशान दिखा दे. सो देन प्रॉमिस मसाया अलैहिस्सलाम प्रेड टू अल्लाह. So he received a revelation from Allah, in Hoshiarpur. Hoshiarpur is one of the cities in India now. So Hazrat Muslih Mau'ud, the promised Messiah ﷺ, went to Hoshiarpur and he spent 40 days and 40 nights there. From January to February 20, he remained. He closed 3 went with him, and he closed himself in. Other 2 give him food, and he did not give the food. He did not talk to anyone. He did not meet anyone for 3 days. Only prayed to us. He came of revelations and prophecies. खाली ये पेशगोई नहीं की थी जब 40 दिन बाद हज़रत मसीह मौऊद अलैहिस्सलाम चिल्ले से अपने जो अलहदगी से बाहर आए, तो उसके बाद आपने उन 40 दिनों में जो आपको पेशगोइयां थी वो तमाम शाया की. पेशगोई मुस्लिह मौऊद is one of the prophecies that was published at that time, and the main one, the most important one, you can say. So when this was revealed, like I mentioned, automatically the first response of the people was, what kind of prophecy is this? If I make a prophecy that I will have a child, people will make fun of me that people have children. If you get married, if you have intercourse, if you have relationship, you will have children. That is normal. He said, no, if you say no, it will not be a girl, it will be a boy. Then people say, okay, still 50-50 chance. What is so special? So Hazrat Masih Maud explained that I am not prophesying, Allah has not prophesied about just any son. Rather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prophesied a son with very distinct qualities. And if we break down those qualities, they come out to be 52, and according to another calculation, 58. So there are 52 to 58 signs which are mentioned of that son. Some of that, if you are listening closely to Jibreel and Hiskeel, they read the prophecy. So they are mentioned in there. I will just mention one of it right now because that is not my topic. I'm just discussing the background. One of them was that his fame will reach the corners of the earth. That Hazrat Masih Maud received the prophecy that और ज़मीन के किनारों तक शोहरत पाएगा. That his fame will reach the corners of the earth. Forget everything else. Hazrat Masih Mau'ud in 1886, how many people know him at that time? Not a son that is not born, not the unborn child. He himself, how many people know? 500, 600, 2000 maximum. In all of the world, that is how many people know of him in some details. At that time, making a prophecy, and he's already very old at that time. This is 1886, he was born in 1835. क्या उम्र बनती है? 51. ठीक है, 51 साल, 51. He was 51 years old. So he said, 51 years old, I will have a child, and my child will, his fame will reach the corners of the earth. तो उसकी शोहरत जो है किनारों तक पहुंचेगी. Now, Jibreel is from Mapun. He will understand. Jibreel try to imagine a place like Mapun in modern day. Right? There is no post office. Mapun is Kagayan de Tabi-Tabi. There is no post office. There is no train line. There is no electricity. There is no social media. There is no TV media. There is no newspaper being published from that city. Later on, it will be published through Jamaat. There is nothing like that. So imagine someone in Mapun saying, I will have a son, and he will become famous to the corners of the earth. Not even Manila, in Mapun. That there is no light, no electricity, no train, no post office. एक ऐसी जगह पर ना डाक खाना तक नहीं है. डाक लेने बटाला जाना पड़ता है. पैसे अगर कोई भेजता है, जाके बटाला लेने जाने पड़ते हैं. ट्रेन नहीं पहुंचती, यक्के पे जाना पड़ता है. बिजली नहीं है, दिए में लिख रहे हैं. कोई सोशल मीडिया नहीं है, कोई टीवी नहीं है. उस वक्त एक 51 साल का शख्स कहता है कि मेरा औलाद होगी, औलाद मर्द होगी, मेल औलाद होगी, नरीना औलाद होगी, औलाद जिंदा रहेगी, औलाद में 51 और निशानियां पाई जाएंगी. 52वीं निशानी ये होगी कि उसका जो शोहरत है वो जमीन के किनारों तक पहुंचे. अब पेशगोई बनती है कि नहीं बनती? That at that time a child will be born, he will have 51 signs, but forget those 51 signs. 52nd sign will be his fame will reach the corner of the earth. And now today, right now this program is being live in Facebook. So I've already received message from Simulul, Tavi Tavi. Maybe Mapun they're also watching if they have internet. Right? In Fiji we have Jamaat. In Solomon Island we have Jamaat. In Marshall Island we have Jamaat. In New Zealand we have Jamaat. Everywhere in the world, there are only 2 or 3 countries left in the world where we do not have Jamaat. Everywhere else in the world we have a Jamaat. and everywhere they are celebrating Yawm-e-Musleh Maud. They are celebrating the prophecy of Musleh Maud. Now you realize the grandeur of the prophecy. यानी 51 साल का शख्स कहता है कि औलाद होगी, उसमें ये निशानियां होंगी, वो निशानियां पूरी हो गई, वो मेरा भी टॉपिक नहीं है, मैं बात बहुत लंबी चल जाएगी। 52वीं निशानी ये थी कि जमीन के किनारों तक शोहरत पाएगा। फिलिपाइन का नाम किसने सुना होगा इंडिया में? कादियान। और फिलिपाइन के भी उन जगहों पर जहां पे अभी तक, अभी मैंने नबी साहब ने अगर जाना होता है तो हमें कितनी प्लानिंग करनी पड़ती है, हमें पता है। मौसम ठीक हो, किस दिन कश्ती चल रही है नहीं चल रही, वहां पे सिग्नल नहीं आते, और वहां पे आज यौम-ए-मुस्लिह मौद के प्रोग्राम सब जगह मनाए जाएंगे। मापून विल हैव देयर ओन प्रोग्राम ऑफ यौम-ए-मुस्लिह मौद, सिमिनुल विल हैव देयर ओन प्रोग्राम ऑफ यौम-ए-मुस्लिह मौद. So that is the truth and the fulfillment of the prophecy. So when this prophecy was made and he explained all of this, he also said one more point, that this child will be born within the 9-year limit. ये बच्चा जो है ये 9 साल की मुद्दत के अंदर पैदा होगा. Okay? So he made it even more limited. Then according to this prophecy, a son, first he had his wife was pregnant on February 20, she was already pregnant. So the child that was born through that pregnancy, it was a girl. यानी जब हजूर ने 1886 में पेशगोई की है तो हज़रत अम्मा जान रज़ी अल्लाह ताला अन्हा हमल से थी, उम्मीद से थी, तो उसके नतीजे में जो बच्चा पैदा हुआ वो एक लड़की थी. She was named Ismat, and everyone started making fun of him. You said it will be a son, it is a daughter. He said, show me where I wrote that it will be son that is born. He said, I have not given any limit, but now that I have prayed, Allah has told me it will be within 9 years. So the next pregnancy, he had a son. His name was set as Bashir the first. Bashir, just Bashir. Now we call him Bashir the first. At that time his name was Mirza Bashir Ahmad. When he was born, people assumed he is Musleh Maud, he is the prophecy of Musleh Maud, he is the promised son. But he passed away also. When he passed away is when that green leaflet that Jibreel was talking about that comes into play. The second child that is born, he also passes away. बशीर अव्वल जो पैदा हुए थे वो भी फौत हो जाते हैं. इस्मत भी फौत हो गई पैदा होके, पहले लड़की पैदा हुई वही फौत हो गई, उसके बाद बशीर पैदा हुए, उनका नाम अब हम बशीर अव्वल कहते हैं. बशीर अव्वल वो भी फौत हो गए. जब वो फौत हो गए तो अगेन पीपल स्टार्टेड मेकिंग फन ऑफ हिम, दैट यू मेड दिस प्रोफेसी एंड नाउ योर चाइल्ड इज ऑलरेडी डेड. सो at that time Hazrat Muslih Maud published what is known as the green leaflet, Sabz Ishtihar. That is not the real name. नाम उसका जो किताब है उसका नाम जो है अब उसका सब इश्तिहार नाम पड़ गया है. उसका असल नाम जो था वो लंबा सा नाम है, मैं आपके साथ शेयर करता हूँ बाद में, कि जिसमें अब उसको हम आमतौर पर सब इश्तिहार ही कहते हैं, बिकॉज इट वॉज पब्लिश्ड ऑन green leaflet, green color paper. That is why it is commonly known as the Sabz Ishtihar. In that, Hazrat Muslih Maud explained in more detail that this is the prophecy, this is what it means. I still stand by my statement that within 9 years the child will be born. And in the prophecy of Musleh Maud, there is already a mention that some children will be born that might pass away. कि एक मेहमान आता है कि लफ्ज़ मिसाल के तौर पे, तो फरमाया मेहमान तो होता ही है जो बाद में चला जाए. तो एक मेहमान आता है कि अल्फाज जो है वो बशीर अव्वल के बारे में है, जिसने बतौर इल्हास के आना था. हजूर ने बाकायदा समझाया कि इस जुमले से लेके इस जुमले तक बशीर अव्वल का जिक्र है, और ये जो हिस्सा है बाकी ये उस मऊद बेटे के बारे में है जिसको अब हम मुस्लिह मऊद के नाम से पुकारते हैं. लास्ट थिंग आई वांट टू मेंशन इज दैट हजरत one of the allegation or one of the issues which are raised are, where does the word name Muslih Maud come from? तो ये लोगों की मैं मालूमात के लिए बाज लोग इतराज भी कर देते हैं कि पेशगोई मुस्लिह मौद में मुस्लिह मौद का लफ्ज तो है ही नहीं कहीं. आपने भी पेशगोई सुनी है, उसमें कहीं मुस्लिह मौद का लफ्ज तो नहीं आया. तो मुस्लिह मौद का जो लफ्ज है, द वर्ड मुस्लिह मौद was used first time by the promised Messiah in Sabz Ishtihar. And because Sabz Ishtihar contained more detail about the prophecy, that became more famous. It became more common. So started referring to this peshgoi, this prophecy, as the peshgoi of Musleh Maud. Otherwise, it was generally known as peshgoi of the son, Maud बेटे की पेशगोई. मगर मुस्लिह मौद का लफ्ज हजूर ने सब्ज़ इश्तिहार में इस्तेमाल किया और उसके बाद ये चल पड़ा. तो सब्ज इश्तिहार और 20 फरवरी वाली पेशगोई एक नहीं है। ये मुगालता जो है, ये गलतफहमी जो है, इसको दूर कर लें। दैट सब्ज इश्तिहार, द ग्रीन लीफलेट and the prophecy of the 20th February are not the same. The Shabz Ishtihar was written in 1888 and this is 1886. Okay. Last thing I want to mention is that after that, Hazrat Muslih Maud is born, and Hazrat Muslih Maud writes in the couplet which Itizaz read, बिशारत दी कि एक बेटा है तेरा जो होगा एक दिन महबूब मेरा। ये मेरा जाती एक ज़ौकी नुक्ता है कि इसमें आप गौर करें, जो ज़माने का हेर फेर है, ज़माने का इस्तेमाल है। पहले मिसरे में ज़माना हाल इस्तेमाल किया, प्रेजेंट टेंस इस्तेमाल किया। बिशारत दी कि एक बेटा है तेरा, यानी वो बेटा जब हजूर ने ये नज़म लिखी है वो पैदा हो चुका है। ये बशीर, इस जो नज़म पढ़ी गई थी इसका नाम है बशीर की आमीन। तो हज़रत मिर्ज़ा बशीर अहमद की आमीन पे नज़म पढ़ी गई थी, फसुभान अल्लज़ी अक्सल आदि वाली मशहूर नज़म जो है। इसमें इसे बिशारत दी कि एक बेटा है तेरा जो होगा एक दिन महबूब मेरा, मगर जो निशानियां हैं वो भी पूरी जाहिर नहीं हुई, वो जाहिर होने में वक्त लगेगा। तो एक एतराज मुस्लिम मौद की पेशगोई पे ये भी होता है कि जब मुस्लिम मौद पैदा हो गए थे तो फिर हज़रत मसीह मौद अलैहिस्सलाम को क्यों पेशगोइयां होती रही। ये एक एतराज करने वाला एक ये एतराज भी करता है, जो एक लिहाज से थोड़ा नया एतराज है जो ज़माने हाल में किया जाता है कि जब बेटा पैदा हो गया था तो फिर पेशगोई की जरूरत क्या थी, उसके बाद क्यों पेशगोइयां होती रही। तो उसकी वजह यही है, लंबा जवाब है इसका, मगर मुख्तसर जवाब यही है कि जो वो होगा एक दिन महबूब मेरा, उसका मुस्लिम मौद होना भी साबित नहीं हुआ। सो इवन दो ही बिकेम द सेकंड खलीफा, he became famous already, he already was filled with secular and religious knowledge, all the signs were being fulfilled, but Hazrat Muslih Maud radiyallahu anhu, the second khalifa, did not claim to be Muslih Maud. People used to ask him that Huzur, please announce so that these people who are raising allegation, we can shut them up, we can give them an answer. He said, no, I cannot. I will give you one interesting point. Is that my thesis was on this topic. There was a mubahasa called Mubahasa Rawalpindi. This was between the Ahmadis who believe in Khilafat and Ahmadis who do not believe in Khilafat. Maulvi Abul Atta Sahab Jalandhari, the father of Atal Mujib Rashid Sahib, he was representing Jamaat in that mubahasa. And someone from the Lahori Jamaat, commonly known as Lahori Jamaat, Anjuman Islam, they were part of that. So one of the topic of the debate was the prophecy of Musleh Maud. इस मुबाहसे में जो पैगामियों के साथ जो मुबाहसा था उसमें 3-4 टॉपिक्स पे बहस होनी थी, नबूवत हज़रत मसीह मौद अलैहिस्सलाम पे वगैरह वगैरह। उनमें एक टॉपिक ये भी था मुस्लिह मौद की पेशगोई। So Hazrat Maulvi Abul Atta Sahab Jalandhari went to Hazrat Muslih Maud and said, Huzur, we know that you are Musleh Maud. We believe in our heart. So can you please write to us and can you please give me an answer so that I can present to them when I go and meet them. And Hazrat Muslih Maud wrote an answer to him, a detailed answer. I will not go into the detail right now, but he said, I cannot make the claim because for 2 reasons. Number 1, he is not Mau'ud. He's not Ma'mur. He's Mau'ud but not Ma'mur. He's not been, Muslih Maud is not someone who has been appointed like a prophet by Allah. So there is no necessarily need for me to make the announcement. And he said, yes, most of the prophecies have been fulfilled in me, and people generally believe I am Muslih Maud, but because Allah has not informed me that this is the case, I will not tell you that. So this is the honesty of the person, that in the most precarious time for him personally, if we think from a political or from a worldly point of view, it was a time when there was a part of Jamaat that did not believe in his Khilafat. At that time, it was very opportune for him, it was a very good time for him to make the announcement, I am Muslih Maud. People will join him. But he did not do so. Even in a debate, he said, I cannot make this announcement because Allah has not informed me. नुक्ता जो मैं बयान कर रहा हूँ कि जब लाहौरी जमात वाले, पैगामी, अंजुमन इस्लाम वाले, जब वो अलहदा हो गए थे, तो ये बहस चलती थी कि मुस्लिम मौद की पेशगोई के बारे में भी। तो हजूर ने अगर दावा करना होता, हजूर को चाहिए था उस वक्त दावा करते ताकि आपकी खिलाफत में रोक पैदा हो कि मैं जो हूं, मैं वो खलीफा हूं जिसकी हज़रत मसीह ने पेशगोई की थी और लोग उनके साथ आके मिलते, मगर हुजूर ने दावा नहीं किया। और जो लोग कहते भी थे कि दावा करें, हज़रत मुस्लिह मौद रज़ी अल्लाह ताला अन्हु कहते थे कि एक तो ये कि मुस्लिह मौद मामूद नहीं है, नबी की तरह नहीं है कि उसका दावा करना जरूरी है, दूसरा ये कि अल्लाह ने मुझे नहीं बताया। तो ये हज़रत मिर्जा बशीरुद्दीन महमूद अहमद साहब के मुस्लिह मौद होने की बहुत बड़ी सच्चे होने की दलील है कि जब जरूरत थी उस वक्त ऐलान नहीं किया। Then in 1944, when he has already been Khalifa for 30 years, his Nauzubillah, if you want to use the word, his seat is already well established. His Khilafat is already well established. All the turmoil time, all the difficult time is gone. In 1944, between the night of 5 and 6 January 1944 in Lahore, he sees a dream. And in that dream, Allah Ta'ala informed, it's a long dream, Allah Ta'ala informs him that he is Muslih Maud, that he is the fulfillment of this prophecy. So then in 1944, he makes the announcement that I'm Muslih Maud. And then in 1965, he passes away. And the time of his Khilafat, like Jibreel mentioned absolutely, is also 52 years. 52 signs and 52 years of Khilafat. So that is another connection that if you like, you can make. So these are some of the basic background of the prophecy. And if there are any questions later on, Sadr Sahab? Or now, later on?
I think so. No.
Abhi, if you have any question about what I have said, you can ask right now. If you have any question about something else, we can discuss later. Okay, so this is, I just wanted to share with you the very brief general background of the prophecy. Okay, Jazakumullah. So now I finish my speech that we are celebrating this prophecy. What is our responsibility? So very small quotation from Hazrat Khalifatul Masih al-Khamis Sayyidahullah Ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz. Hazur said, we celebrate this day, I'm paraphrasing, मैं अपने अल्फाज में बयान कर रहा हूँ, that we celebrate this day to only remember a prophecy of the promised Messiah al-Islam, but also the mission of the promised Messiah al-Islam, which was continued and really strengthened during the Khilafat Thaniya, during the second Khilafat. In that 52 years of Khilafat, this is where Ahmadiyya went from Qadian and became a global movement. This is where we get the system of the Jamaat. This is where we get Khudamul Ahmadiyya, Ansarullah, Lajna Ima'illah, Nasrat, Atfal. This is where we get Shura. This is where we get Baitul Mal, all of these, Darul Ifta, etc., etc. So the point Hazrat Khalifatul Masih al-Khamis, current Khalifa, he made was, all Ahmadis should try to become Muslih Maud in their own personal sphere. हजूर ने कहा मुस्लिह मौद की पेशगोई खाली इसलिए नहीं है कि हम इस बहुत बड़ी पेशगोई को याद करें, एक ऐसे शख्स को याद करें जिसने अहमदियत की बुनियादें पक्की की, जिसने नज़ारत, तहरीक जदीद, वकालत, खुदामुल अहमदिया, अंसारुल्लाह, अतफालुल अहमदिया, लजना, बैतुल माल, दारुल इफ्ता, मजलिस शूरा, कादियान से लेकर पूरी दुनिया में जमात को फैलाना, ये सारे काम हुजूर की खिलाफत में हुए, हज़रत मुस्लिह मौद की खिलाफत में। इसको याद तो करना ही है, मगर साथ में हुजूर ने फरमाया हज़रत खलीफतुल मसीह खामिस ने कि इस दिन का मकसद ये है कि हम सब अपने अपने दायरे में मुस्लिह मौद बनने की कोशिश करें। मुस्लिह कौन? इस्लाह करने वाला। इस्लाह इंसान तब करता है, ताहिर भाई ने जैसा कि कहा था कि पहले अपनी इस्लाह होगी। मुस्लिह का पहले खुद सालेह होना भी जरूरी है, अपनी इस्लाह करे पहले, और फिर अपने अपने सर्कल में, यानी अपने सर्कल में सबसे पहले इंसान खुद होता है, फिर बीवी बच्चे होते हैं, फिर दोस्त अहबाब होते हैं, फिर अगर कोई मेरी तरह किसी को मुरब्बी है तो उसकी जमात है, वो बढ़ती जाती है जिम्मेदारियां हर एक उसके मुताबिक, मगर अपने अपने दायरे में हजूर ने फरमाया मुस्लिह मौद बनने की कोशिश। सो वी कैन नॉट बिकम व्हाट इज मुस्लिह मौद? प्रॉमिस्ड रिफॉर्मर। सो रिफॉर्मर यू कैन नॉट बिकम अनलेस यू रिफॉर्म योरसेल्फ। सो हुजूर सेड इन योर ओन सर्कल, फर्स्ट यू रिफॉर्म योरसेल्फ, then your family, your children. You know, when you wake up for Fajr, make sure you wake your children up also. And when you pay chanda, you tell also to pay your chanda to your children also. And then as your circle grow, your friends, your family, if you're Sadr Jamaat, if you're Murabbi Silsila, your circle grows. So may Allah Ta'ala enable me and all of us to reform ourselves first and foremost, and then become Muslih Maud in our small sphere. Ameen. Allahumma ameen.